Happy Earth Day. My name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be a 2 looks 1 palette with the Sigma Earthy palette. I actually didn't plan this. I just wanted to use this palette, and then I realized, okay, now that I'm saying this, I'm like, I hope I actually end up uploading this on Earth Day. But April is the month of Earth Day, so yeah, hopefully this is on the actual day, or else, you know, that the theme is earth and green. But this is what the Sigma Earthy palette looks like. It's just a green and brown eyeshadow palette. It does have different tones of green and brown in here, which makes it really fun to use. But also these are just kind of like my tones, very like muted and, I mean, as the palette suggests, earthy. So I'm just gonna get started before I ramble too much. As always, starting with eyeshadow primer, and this is the Ulta Matte eyeshadow primer. I don't know. Earth Day is like one of my favorite, I don't know if it's like a holiday since we don't get the day off, but it's one of my favorite holidays of the year because, I mean, I'm not the best example, but I do like being trying to be more eco-friendly and like earth conscious. I'm not very articulate, as you can see, but ever since I was like a young kid, like in kindergarten, like elementary school, I've always sorry, I just sounded a bit like a monster for a second. Let me take a drink. But I've always been excited to talk about like ecology and stuff like that. I think I'm gonna set both of my lids with this shade Harmony, which is a really good lid setting shade for me. I was always like, whenever there was like an ecology or like environmental type club at school, I was always part of it. I was the historian for my high school's ecology club. I used to like love gardening. I would garden with my neighbor when I was living in like the apartment I was born in. One of my neighbors was like really into the garden there, and I would always help her like from a very young age, like 3 years old. And I've always done like beach cleanups, and when I was in 9th grade in my high school, like every year we had to do let me like show you what I'm doing while I ramble. I think for this, I never plan these looks out, but I think I'm gonna start, always on my right eye, I'm gonna start with the shade Fawns, which is just like a mid-tone neutral shade. This one is like the warm toned version of this one, but I'm gonna start with this one just like as my transition shade for my right eye. But now I cannot remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, for like every year in high school we had to do a science project, and for my very first one, my freshman year, I calculated the average amount of trash that the average person accumulates in 1 week. And I literally like stored all of my trash in a bag for an entire week. Like I kept it with me. Let me tell you, it's a lot of trash. So it really makes me think about every time I use a single-use item. But I don't want to talk too much about myself. This video is literally just about the eyeshadow palette anyway, but I thought it would be fun to like theme it around Earth Day. Now I'm gonna use my glitter primer all over my eye because I'm gonna try to do like a gradient with these 2 shades. So first I'm gonna take the shade here, Willow Wisp, which is like almost like a silvery shade, but it's more like on the gray kind of pewter side rather than just pure silver. And I'm gonna put that on the first half of my eye. This is very punchy. I know Sigma has like 2 different formulas of shimmers. I think all of them, okay, no, except for this green one in the center, all of the other metallics in this palette are the creamy formula that is really punchy. And then this one is more of the dry topper formula. And then I'm gonna take this shade Wanderlust, which is more of that like dark pewter. I don't really know, they're like light and dark versions of each other, but I'm gonna put that on the outer part of my eye. and I'll probably have to add more of that matte brown because, as always, I took these very far out, a lot farther than I was expecting. Yeah, in 3rd grade, my homeroom teacher made us all watch An Inconvenient Truth. The scene where the CGI polar bear is looking for a piece of ice to sit on and just never finds when it keeps swimming and swimming, that has haunted me my entire life. I'm just gonna use this fluffy brush and like mix fawns and harmony together and use that to like buff out the edge of this eyeshadow, and then I'll figure out what to do with my lower lash line later, probably an eyeshadow stick. But for this eye, let me wipe off the eyeshadow brushes. Now I am going to take that like warm toned brown matte, which is called Sun Baked. It's a really pretty shade, and I'm kind of just gonna do the same thing here, where I put it in my transition. But yeah, that scene in An Inconvenient Truth seriously like really changed it, like rewired my brain. It changed me that year, because also in elementary school we also had to do every year an end of year project, and it could be like literally on any topic you wanted. And that first year, because that was my first year at that school, I decided to do it on polar bears because I was like actually traumatized, and I still am. Like, I'm smiling, but it's really sad. Anyway, I'm gonna use this shade called Shadowy, and I'm gonna be very careful at first because sometimes their dark shades can be very pigmented. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't use too much of that. Every year climate change just gets worse and worse, because there are no, I'm about to go on like a soapbox rant, but yeah, there are no actual, I wrote an entire I took an atmospheric chemistry course in college, and I literally wrote my entire term paper on how corrupt environmental protection agencies throughout the world are, because not only do a lot of them tend to look the other way by being paid off, but allegedly, but it's the truth. There's no such thing as a coincidence in politics, but also companies are only fined monetarily for, I literally can't remember the word for it, but for breaking the rules that are created by these agencies. They're only fined, and the fines are minuscule compared to how much money they're making from dumping chemicals in the ocean or pumping harmful gases into the air, killing animals, killing people. I can go on. Again, I'm gonna build this shade up a little bit more because this one is not as pigmented, or maybe I just put a little bit too much of that deep shade. But now I'm gonna add more of that glitter primer. On the individual scale, it does kind of tie into like makeup consumption and everything, because not only is like fast fashion and fast consumerism definitely a thing, including in the makeup and beauty industry, like it's very clear that that is what is happening. Like, think of ColourPop back when, not too long ago, they were literally releasing something every single week. Pause, I'm gonna use the shade Canyon and just put it all over my eye. This feels like oddly dystopian to be talking about this, but also like not only the amount that we're buying, and then just like spending, like wasting our money and dumping it into the trash, but think of how much we're dumping in the trash without even using it. Whether it's because it's no longer trendy, you decided actually you don't like it and you bought it on a whim, or you never used it and it went bad, or you didn't use it enough and it went bad. We're dumping, especially me, I'll talk about myself the most, because you know, I have had a lot of stuff like expire on me. I am definitely like a victim of over consumerism. I am not innocent in this, which is why I like got into panning and I'm doing a no buy this year. But it's just like crazy how much is wasted as far as like luxury beauty items. And when I say luxury, I mean things that are not absolutely essential to live like a comfortable everyday life. Like no one needs a 10-step skincare routine, and having so much of everything has been so normalized, and just like the gluttony and the greed of today, not only on an individual, not that like we should be taking all of the blame as consumers, but like on an individual scale, this is a real thing, which is why it's very ironic that I'm doing this video while talking about it and talking about Earth Day and everything. But it's just something to reflect on, and I kind of just like happened upon this subject as I was talking, as I do all the time. Anyway, real quick, I'm just gonna finish with this shade Moss and just put it kind of like on the first, maybe third of my eye. I've never layered these shades, so I don't know what it's exactly gonna look like. It kind of just makes it look gold. And then I think I'll put it also in my inner corner. But yeah, that's been on my mind because even when I like actually finish my, I think I took that way too high. Even when I actually finish my products, it's still something that's like going in the recycling or something that's going in the trash. That I used for X amount of months, and now it's like forever in a landfill. Let's be honest, no matter how much you recycle, only a very small percentage of that is actually being reused and repurposed and recycled. Then I'm just gonna take a tiny bit of Willow Wisp in my inner corner on this side. Yeah, I don't want to really end on such a bleak note. For this eye, I'm gonna use this shade also in Pewter from Tarte, just all over my lower lash line. That being said, honestly, oh my god, this is so bad. We kind of are past the point of no return, especially with, you know, all the data centers being built that not only use so much energy and water, but they're also taking up viable land. But also, even with like car batteries, with all these electric vehicles, it's great if you think about using less fossil fuels, but once a car battery ends up in a landfill, it is never coming back. Save a few companies, like for example one that I used to work for that is attempting to recycle batteries, but most of those are ending up in the trash, and the pollution from one car battery is insane. Or if you have a fuel or like a gasoline engine, the fracking alone that we're doing, not to mention the emissions. Okay, this is really bad, so maybe I'm gonna stop talking now. Yeah, I'm gonna use this gold eyeshadow stick on this lash line. Yeah, I'm gonna do my mascara and eyeliner and then come back with something more positive to say for a final note. Okay, I'm back with my finished looks with the Sigma Earthy palette. Again, this is what it looks like. I ended up using every shade except for this one called Wild, and you know what? I'm trying to think. You know, I was gonna try to add it somewhere, but I'm not even gonna bother because I'm happy with my looks that I have now. I do love Sigma eyeshadow, so I mean, of course, I loved this palette and I loved the tones in this palette. So I'm very happy with the looks that I got. It was just fun to play around. The good news for the planet and for you is that it is never too late to improve and change your own actions. Like, you can always control what you do, what you consume, which companies you support, which local, you know, initiatives and projects, and, you know, restaurants and stores that you support and participate in. And you can always like control to the best of your ability what's around you. So that's like creating your own garden in your own home if you have somewhere you can do that, and making a difference in just your own life or even the life of those around you. you know, wildlife around you. That is just as important as everything else. So the small little changes and actions that you can do yourself are important. So yeah, that's the good news. So rest easy on this Earth Day, and just, yeah, I hope you have a great day and an earth conscious day, and feel a little bit better about the world. But that is all for this video. I will, hopefully, if I didn't scare you away, see you in the next one. And until then, I hope you have an amazing day. Happy Earth Day.